Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the over 30 booktube tag. I saw a book olive do this. It was originally created by Ink Not Blood, who I will link in the description. I saw a book olive do this a while ago and really enjoyed it. I'll also link her profile up top and her video down in the description. I thought it was really fun. I am 32, I had to think about that for a second. So I fit into this category and I thought I would give it a go. Yeah, so let's just get into the questions. Right, question 1. Name one of your favourite books that features a protagonist who is 30 years old or older. So the first book that came to mind is one that I read last month, which was The Switch by Beth O'Leary. This has got Eileen in it, who is 78. She is feeling stuck in her small British village life, and so she decides to swap places with her granddaughter, Lena, and basically swap her life for her granddaughter's London life. I absolutely adored Eileen. I think I actually preferred her to Lena, although I gave this book 5 stars, which you'll have seen in my wrap up. I think it was Eileen that really hooked me because she is highly intelligent, she's sassy, she's brave. She doesn't give up on life just because she is in her older years. She's really feisty, she gets things done, she is always looking out for other people, and I just thought that she was fabulous. So this book is out in April. I think it's out possibly when this video goes up, but don't quote me. And I would really highly recommend it. And Eileen is just an absolute cracker of a character. Question 2. Name a book that represents who you were when you were younger. If anyone has been watching my videos for 5 seconds, you'll probably know which book I'm about to hold up, but there was really only one book for this question, which is Am I Normal Yet by Holly Bourne. This is the first book in the Spinster trilogy, and we're following Evie, who suffers from OCD and an anxiety disorder. I don't suffer from OCD, but I do suffer, I live with generalised anxiety disorder, and this is a book that I wish my 14-year-old self could have had, because it would have been a far less lonely experience, I think. It's an amazing book for mental health rep anyway. My friend Nicole says that the OCD rep is really good. The friendship between the girls is fab. They also form a feminist group called the Spinsters Club, trying to reclaim the word spinster. And I think the whole series is fab. But this one in particular, Evie, I saw a lot of my younger self in her. And yeah, it was really nice to see that kind of representation. Question 3. Name a book that represents where you are in your life now. This was really hard because I don't really read a lot of books that are about women in their 30s, because I don't read a lot of contemporary women's fiction, which is where you find them. The only ones that I really read are thrillers, and I don't really want to go with that, although my husband did suggest Sweet Pea, which would have been an interesting move. So I've gone with Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lies, which is curated by Scarlett Curtis, and in case you haven't heard of it, it's a collection of feminist essays or essays from people talking about what feminism means to them and why we need it. And I've gone with this because I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm definitely confident enough to say that I identify as a feminist, I am one. And this, whilst I didn't learn anything from it directly because I'm further on in my feminism journey than this is aimed at, because this is aimed at YA, which is amazing, I feel like this kind of helped cement what I was feeling and the way that I was thinking. So yeah, that is the book that I've gone for that question. Question 4. Name a book that represents something that has never changed about you. Again, this was quite tough, but I was looking through my books and I was trying to choose ones that I don't talk about loads, with the exception of the Holly Bourne book. And I've gone with Spectacles by Sue Perkins, because one thing that has never changed about me is I have a very dry, sarcastic sense of humour. And that is something that Sue Perkins shares. For those of you that aren't aware, she's a TV presenter here in the UK. She's probably best known for being one of the original hosts of The Great British Bake Off, but she's also just incredibly clever and funny and witty, and this is her first autobiography, which I read a couple of years ago and really enjoyed. I also really love the cover. So yeah, for me, this kind of symbolises my dry, sarcastic sense of humour. Question 5 was name one of your favourite classics. I love that this is in here because it's clearly the word classic, which is intimating that because you're over 30-year-old, which I completely do not agree with, because I personally think age is a number. But anyway, my favourite classic at the moment is Goodnight Mr. Tom by Michelle McGoran. I've really got to learn how to say that name. I've talked about this book a little bit on my channel, particularly when I did my classics wrap up at the end of last year. This is about a young boy called William, I forgot his name there for a second, who is sent during the war to live in a little village, sent away from London and evacuated, and he goes to live with Mr. Tom, who is this cranky old man who lives alone in the village with his dog. And it's just about their friendship. It's quite a tough book to read in that some of the content is quite upsetting, so I need to give a content warning for child abuse and suicide, which you wouldn't usually find in a children's book, but I feel like the way this was dealt with is really well done. And also just the relationship between the two main characters is just wonderful. I've read this several times now. It always makes me cry, but it ends in such a hopeful, lovely way that it's definitely one that I will come back to like time and time again. And then the final question is, name a book you like or would like to read that was published in the year you were born. So I had to Google books published in 1987, which is when I was born. And one of the first ones on the list was a book that I gave 5 stars to, and that's Misery by Stephen King. So I read this book, I think it was at the start of 2018. Up to then I hadn't read that much Stephen King. The Stephen Kings I had read hadn't been that successful, but my friend Steph sent me this book and said, please read this because you'll love it, and she was right. It's actually one of only 3 Stephen Kings that I've read that I really enjoyed. But in it we've basically followed Paul Sheldon, who is a successful author. He is in a car crash one day and he's rescued by a woman who just turns out to be his biggest fan. She then keeps him hostage basically in her house and makes him rewrite the end of his previous book in which he'd killed her favourite character, and it goes from there. And it's one of the most tense things I've ever read, and I loved how closed in it is because it's just the 2 of them in this house for the whole time. There's no other characters really, and it is just really, really tense, and I thoroughly enjoyed it and gave it 5 stars, and it came out the year I was born. So those are all the questions. It's obviously a tag, so I'm now supposed to tag people, but I'm not sure of people's ages, and I don't want to upset anyone by assuming they are younger or older than they are. So this is an open tag. If you are over 30 and you're on BookTube, firstly, please identify yourselves because I feel like we should be supporting each other in the older end of things. But secondly, I'm tagging you to this tag because it's really fun. It's a quick tag, few questions, but really insightful ones, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, please tag yourselves, consider yourselves tagged, let me know if you do it, leave me a comment with your favourite book from the year that you were born, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks guys, bye!